Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Skill Writers Podcast episode. I'm your host, 65 Lokes. We're back at episode number 243. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm just chilling, relaxing here, excited about this episode. Some topics, things that will be in this episode. We're going to kick things off with the ModelFest 2025, then followed by Dedicated Magazine, build update, and website update, and new arrivals. So, ModelFest, it's days away pretty much. As I'm recording this tonight, it's Tuesday night. So it'll be Wednesday. Next thing you know, it's going to be Sunday. And I'm going to have to be out there early morning setting up my table for the show. I just talked to Vern on the drive home. I already got my table set. He told me table 26. All right, let's do it. And I do have a little map. I might take a photo of it and post it up, but I will be out there and it won't be hard to find. There'll be numerous vendors there set up, and I will be in one of the booths set up. And now the rest of these days, I got to figure out, all right, what am I taking with me? Who's coming with me? I got to look at all the stuff. Got to look at the inventory, all the different categories, from model kits to the tools to the detail parts to the paints. And I got to figure out which one of you is coming with me to the show. I know there's going to be, various model builders from different parts of California that are going to be coming out to the show. And if you're planning on going, and if there's something specifically that you are looking for that I have on the website, let me know ahead of time, because what I'll be able to do is pull that out and take it with me to the show beforehand already, because obviously I cannot take everything to there. It would be just super crazy to be able to take everything. I will be taking selective things, so if there's something specific, please let me know, so this way this will give me enough time to bring it out there, and hopefully I'll have what you're looking for. So bringing you guys up to speed, last week was a very hectic week for me. Being in the family business of the flower industry, my father, he owns a flower shop that operates out of Oxnard. And, this business, it's been around town since 1995. We're in 2025, so that's about 30 years now. And I still remember when that was launched. I was like in junior high, and it's just kind of a trip because I would say like about 5 businesses like next to it, let's say like not too far from that little shopping center, was the first hobby store I had ever been to, called Blue Max Hobbies. That was the only one that I knew of in Oxnard. And from previous interviews with other modelers that have been on the podcast, they have explained to me that there was other, besides them, there was also other stores, in Ventura County and in Oxnard. So it's really cool to hear those stories. And I didn't get to experience those. To me, the one I only got to experience was Blue Max Hobbies there in Oxnard. So before my father opened up that flower shop, I used to ride my bike over there. I used to just go walking with my friends. And I lived in a neighborhood where I grew up in that was called Lemonwood, in the east part of Oxnard. And, from there's a lot of fields, a lot of agriculture, a lot of strawberries and whatnot. And at the same time, there's a lot of industrial buildings. So a lot of manufacturing and just a lot of things to see on that route to this hobby store, and going over there with friends, just looking through the aisles, picking out that one kit. I believe there were like $6 to $8, like maybe 10 at the most. They weren't really that expensive. I'm talking about mid-90s here, and just, going back home knowing like, man, I'm going to build this. But I do remember every time on my route there, I would always pass by this building, not knowing that, some years later, my dad would be starting his business venture there, which later I would be a part of that as well, bringing myself into the fold with the family business. So for us, in this industry, the Valentine's Day holiday is like one of the biggest ones, followed by Mother's Day. But Valentine's is a huge one. And every year I remember as a kid when it would come up, I didn't have too many responsibilities. It was just like limited things I needed to do because I was still learning. I was young. But as I've gotten older and I've grown with the business, I've taken on bigger responsibilities and just a lot more added to the list. And just for us to find that balance, so everybody has their role in what they need to do and everything just to make this all work. We've, had seasonal workers and all these different things, drivers, and it's always been very interesting and just learning, the whole thing, the machine of how it works. And I remember there was some periods of times in certain years where it was a very stressful holiday just because of the volume of orders. There's so many, and it all leads into one day, the one day where everybody wants their flowers at a specific time, and sometimes everybody wants everything at the same time, which it's really not possible, like all at that time, right? So you have to find ways to manage everything and make it all happen. So through the years, just working along with my sister and my father and mother and uncles, cousins, things like that, and even friends that have helped us, like working there, you start to really appreciate what's going on, especially with customers. Over time you start to gain this experience and start to see like, okay, what is it that they're looking for, and how to execute everything. So this way, they're happy, we're happy. And the more, as time went on, it's almost like there's either a question or a problem, and you're there to solve it. You're there to like make it happen. So with these last, like, man, it's almost gonna be, I guess you could say it's close to 10 years now of consistent, like, back-to-back, like, model building, right? It's helped a lot with learning, with problem solving, and now there's a lot of things that I've learned with it that I adapted to daily life things. So, working in the business, it's really made it very easy. So, just dealing with stuff, even when it comes down to complaints or just something that we created an error, we made a mistake, and how to go about correcting it, basically. That even this year it was busy and all, but at the same time it was not stressful. I was not tired. Other years I've been like drained, like, after, right? This time it was like a different perspective, just talking with different customers coming through, and just everybody who came in, I was just appreciating everybody. Like, man, like, if it's not for any of you coming in my store right here to, buy flowers from us, that this support, it's not possible for us to keep the lights on, to keep running, for us to get paid, for the workers to get paid. It's just not possible. It would be really hard. So seeing new faces, familiar faces from so many years, this was like a different feeling right here operating. And at the same time, it's I think, like, man, like, how long have we been doing this? And like, this is awesome. But at the same time, it's like, how long are we going to keep doing this for? Collectively as a team, because at some point, my parents are going to retire. At some point, like, someone's not going to be able to come one year or the next, or even going forward. Things are going to change. Like, what's going to happen, right? Am I going to take the mantle? Am I going to, take it over and also, continue operating Scale Riders? Am I going to have two businesses now, or I'm going to have to dedicate, the the online orders, and then also this other business, or at some point be like, you know what, let's do two businesses. How about we open up the doors to Scale Riders somewhere, and now we got two things going on. You know, I mean, it's all possible. It's not. I'm not trying to say like it's not, but that right there lies the question in my head, and I don't know if it's so much of a problem, but I would say more of a question that needs an answer, and I need to find a solution to that. And I feel like scale model building is going to point me in the right direction to make the decision to make that happen. So I'm just putting it out there right now. You know, I'm 41 years old right now. I'm still able to do a lot of stuff. And I mean, as long as I take care of myself, you know, I could still do more stuff in the future. But man, last week was busy, but it was also awesome. And on top of that, you know, I appreciate my customers, scaleriders.com, because a lot of you guys supported, have been buying stuff, and were patient enough to give me like that break to be able to receive orders and fulfill them the next day after Valentine's on the Saturday. Because, you know, there was orders that were coming in, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so forth, and it was just kind of hectic, you know, where I was like, there's no way I could package all that stuff right now. I have to wait. So Saturday we got it out, and, you know, now we're, you know, back on track. Everything, you know, orders are coming in, and just packaging them, making sure everything goes well, they're packed well, and they go out in a timely manner. So, you know, now that that's all done, you know, my focus is this coming up weekend, which is the ModelFest 2025. So let's start it off by giving you guys the details to this show. ModelFest, model contest and swap meet. Show hours 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sunday, February 23rd, 2025, Seaside Park, Ventura County Fairgrounds, 10 West Harbor Boulevard, Ventura, California, 93001. If you need more information or you have any questions, contact Vern. This is the direct number to Ventura Hobbies in the city of Ventura. So this is 805-658-8138. So, you know, any questions you might have or whatever, give him a call, and, you know, he'll be able to answer your question. Admission is $10 per person. Enter your models in the fairest model contest anywhere. First entry is $5. Each additional entry is only $2. There are 43 different categories to enter, including 8 junior categories. Bring your models and show them off, or just come and see the neat and interesting models that have been entered. Also, a state parking fee applies. And I mean, this is going to be a fun one. You know, I've done ModelFest before, but, you know, last year I didn't vend. The only show I believe I did was just NNL West, and then after that, you know, in 2024 I just kind of chilled. I sat out. Sat all of them out. I didn't do any other shows. And now that we're in 2025, you know, I decided, you know what, it's been a while. It feels like it's been a long time, but I need to get out there. I need to see you guys out there. And as much as I know we connect on Instagram, social media and everything, but it's not the same, you know. I feel like I need that connection, you know, like seeing familiar faces and hopefully some new faces too, you know. So this event, you know, I got to get ready. I got to start packing stuff, you know, like my bags, register, all the little things that I carry, or, you know, a card reader, all these different little things. But at the same time, I have to organize and structure my stuff. I remember like the first times when I was vending, I was just kind of grabbing things here and there and being like, all right, I'm taking this. And things were kind of mixed up in all these bins and everything. And in the beginning, I was taking a lot of stuff where when I was placing things on the table, it was just too many things on the table. Made it look very busy, you know. And over time, I started experimenting, like, let me bring this, let me not bring that, and so forth. So now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I have a pretty good idea of some of the necessities that people will need. And these are going to be the things that I'm going to be bringing to the show. But at the same time, I do want to bring in some new products and some new things that came into the store to bring them there in person. So with the event, I mean, I need to get there early. So I'm about like an hour 15 away from there. So I got to get out there very early and pretty much just start setting up, you know, like at 7 a.m. Get there earlier on 7, start setting up. And I'd say, like, you know, be ready by 8:30 to start vending right there. So it should be cool. I hope you guys can go, especially if you're not too far, you know, and you're in Southern California or even Northern and you want to bust that mission, you know, you can do so. I would recommend if you're up north and you're going to come down, just, you know, try to like leave early in the morning, man. Like, you might have to leave, like, if you're not going to stay out there, you might have to leave like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, that drive, you know, to get there. Because it's going to probably take you like five hours possibly to get there. And if you were like trying to make it a weekend thing, you could always just book a hotel, stay out there. Hotels out there, they're not so expensive, you know. And you don't even have to stay in Ventura. I mean, there's other neighboring cities where you could stay at as well. Stay there, and then the Sunday, hit the show. After the show, just drive back home. You know, you'll be home at a cool time, probably feeling a little tired, you know, take a shower, go sleep, boom, Monday, back to work, you know, and everything's like, if it was like a dream, you know, like, wow, was I out there? I'm not sure. Let me pinch myself, you know. So that show right there, ModelFest, coming up. I will be bringing some stickers as well. I will be bringing some stickers by our homie NYS Model, because I do have a nice stack that he hooked it up with to give out. So I'll have plenty for there. I still have some Model Mafia stickers from Hawaii, but those, I'm saving them for the online orders because I only have a little bit left, you know. So those, I'm sharing them with the online orders, and that should be a fun one. So even if you don't buy anything or whatever, and you want to say what's up, come through, you know, I'll give you a sticker. Just let me know, like, yo, can I get a sticker? And boom, I'll hook you up. Let's see what else. So next segment, let's get right into it. Dedicated magazine thoughts, man. All right, here, I'm gonna close my laptop, pulling out the magazine right in front of me. Bam. All right, so let's see. So this magazine, Dedicated Scale Enthusiast Magazine, Volume 6. Any info you guys need, check out dedicatedmagazine.com. So I want to shout out some people, some heads that are responsible for this book that made it happen. Well, magazine. Why am I calling it book? All right. So shout outs to Willie Ramirez Jr., Leo, Maida, David Bayonne, Bill Koff, Armando Avila, D.A. Garcia, and Pablo Maida. Man, you guys here put this together, and this was an awesome magazine right here. So the pre-orders for this, they were last year was when they were up, and I remember locking my order in, because when you do the pre-orders, you get a poster and sticker. So I managed to lock in my pre-order, and there's always like a limited time for it too. So it's not like the pre-order is open for a very long time. Like, they do give you enough time. They promote it on Instagram, word is spread, Everybody is sharing it on social media and letting people know. For those that have been collecting the magazine since volume 1, I mean, you guys don't even sleep. As soon as you guys see the live, you guys are on it. Pre-orders locked in. And anybody who's like maybe coming across it for the first time, just because I know there's a lot of people joining Instagram that are model builders for the first time, you know, they might not be aware of it. And if they see the solicitations, they might be a little hesitant whether they should do it or not, you know. But then eventually, you know, once we're running to the end, I know a lot more people join in on the fun. And for those that wait, they go, you know, I'll wait. Then later, they start to see the magazine printed, it's out, people start receiving it, people start sharing it. And then that's where it's like, oh, dude, where'd you get that? Hey, where can I get it? Hey, is there any more? Dude, I'm trying to get 10. You know what I mean? Like, you start talking like that. So, and then the answer's like, oh, man, I'm sorry, bro. There's no more. This is it. They're not available. But if you wait a while, there might be availability on MacCloud.com. There hasn't been an announcement yet that I've seen, but I have a feeling that might be coming. Previous episodes, you can get them on MacCloud.com. So I know, you know, sometimes we discover things late on in the game. Sometimes we discover things when it's like volume 10, you know, or when the whole project ends, you know, and then you're like, hey, what's going on with this? So, or it's almost like coming across a TV show that starts to become your favorite TV show, and you start to binge watch it because there's already like 6 seasons of it, and you can watch it back to back. But later you realize, you know, the show's not around anymore. You know, that project got canceled, ended, or whatever. But I'm not trying to say Dedicated Magazine is ending or anything like that. We're in volume 6, you know, it's ongoing. You know, it's going to continue being ongoing. And it's just going to get more and more exciting. So the magazine came into the mail, came with a poster, with the sticker. And with the poster, it's kind of hard to decide what side do I want to put on my wall. You know, because you got a couple artists here. You got Big Dave, and then you got Dutch. And you're just like, yo, like, you know, Dutch's truck, he just, man, banged this one out. Very unique, different, one of a kind. And the same with Big Dave. You start to see his project and you go, what the heck? Like, there's a lot of custom pieces and things in this. And it's also like a one of a kind piece as well. You know, you will not see another model like this. And you could just see the high level of skills that are on these builds. So it's, you know, to be selected to be on the posters, it's definitely an honor. But then it's like, man, these are just standout cars for sure, you know. And we've been lucky to see these at the shows too, in person. That's also like a super cool thing that we're able to see. We're pretty spoiled to be able to see these kind of cars here. So when I got the magazine, you know, I started to like flip through the pages, and I mean, there's just a lot in the table of contents in here. There's also a lot of like, how can I say it? Like the articles. There's so many articles for like each build that's here, and there's a lot of show coverage too. You know, like for example, SoCal Open, there's show coverage from like 21 and 23 between those years. And there's also advertisements from businesses as well. That's super cool because it takes you back to, you know, seeing these ads. And at the same time, there's also like a tech area. Here, let me, it's like towards the end of the magazine here. There's also a lot of the Dedicated Magazine show coverage, the super show. from 2021. And let's see here. Yeah, this is like post pandemic, which is kind of gnarly. Like when you think about it. Yeah, tech tips right here with Pablo Maida. Man, this is like super cool. So there's a lot. There's just a lot. When you flip through this magazine here. For it to come out the way it came out, we did the pre-orders, and I was already busy doing so much stuff. I wasn't getting very antsy about it. I wasn't like bothering them, like, yo, when is it gonna drop? When is it gonna drop? When is it gonna drop? I believe like everything is with timing, with projects. I knew the magazine was gonna come out. I just didn't know when. But I did have a feeling that when it would come out, it was going to be a banger, that it was going to be great. Because a lot of the times, things take time, and as you're going, sometimes you revisit articles or you revisit sections, and there might be little tweaks. Maybe something you didn't notice the first time around, and now you're like, you know what? Let's switch this up, or let's add this. And sometimes you might still be adding more and more and more things as you go. And a lot of those articles, a lot of them, I know Willie's writing a lot of them, and it's like, dang, if I'm, like, let's say me, if I'm going to be coming out with some magazine, I probably won't even write a word. I'd probably just do nothing but photos and maybe the name of the artist, and that's it, I don't know. I feel comfortable speaking about stuff. To write it down, it'll probably take me a while. I don't know. Like, I would, because I'm not constantly doing that, Like I do type and I write stuff for things, sections and stuff, like small little stuff. But to do like a whole magazine, it's like, dang, that's a lot of work. So my hat's off to him. Also, like, handling the photography, things like that. But collectively, with all the guys coming together and working to make this magazine happen the way it did, it was super awesome. And the vibe that I got from it was almost like a yearbook in a way, where, and I've said it in the past, it's like you see your friends collectively, and they're like photos of them and the shows, and since everybody interacts on social media, especially Instagram, I feel like Instagram is like a home base for a lot of people. It's really cool to see a lot of their cars in this magazine right here. And I feel like to keep this momentum going, like to be able to see like a volume 7, a volume 8, 9, 10, and so forth. My opinion, this is just my opinion, because I don't know, maybe some of the guys that are involved in the magazine might be listening to this. I'm not telling you like this is what you need to do, dog. No, I'm not saying anything like that. This is just my opinion, just to keep it going. But I think doing this magazine like annually would be pretty dope, like once a year, or maybe 2. But I feel like one a year will be pretty dope, because this would give you guys the freedom, like taking that weight off and that pressure off, and giving you more freedom to collectively be attending all the shows throughout the year, captivating all this coverage, and giving time to create those articles, create the layouts, tweak them out here and there, keep adding more to it, every section, just giving it a more, starting off, the first months, like maybe if it's like 2 a year, it's almost like, you start from, let's say like January, February, March, April, May, and June, like the first half, and all that stuff is captured, and then the next section is like the rest of the year, like all that is captured. But when you're releasing these, it's like by the time you're releasing like the first half of the year, it's like for like the fall. And then when you're releasing all the second part of the year, that's coming out like in the spring, you know, where it might feel like, oh, cool, there's two in a year, but they're actually capturing like half of a year or whatever. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing that out there, some ideas there. But if not that, I mean, annually would be pretty dope. This way, you can anticipate, you know, with the pre-orders. And one thing too is like when the pre-orders go up, and for those that have pre-ordered your magazine, I would recommend like please share the info with others, you know, that you've pre-ordered it or this is available. So this way the pre-orders can blow up like to be a higher number. So this way it helps them be able to print out more magazines and hopefully have some left over for those that kind of missed out on it, where they can also get a magazine. And I mean, because the quality is nice, you know, this is a nice thick magazine. Even just the paper, like the cover and the paper, the pages, it's very colorful as well. All the layouts, everything, it's just it's a very well put together mag right here. And it's going to be one of those ones where I know for sure it's going to be sought after. People are going to want it. People are going to be like, yo, like, where can I get this magazine? You know, they're going to want to get this magazine. And, you know, you could get it through dedicatedmagazine.com. They did do a second run of pre-orders without the goodies, you know, just the pure magazine itself. So I'm kind of curious to know when those orders are going to go out for people, because I know a lot of the people who pre-ordered are the ones that are first dibs. They're getting their stuff in for sure. And then next it's going to be the second round of people, because, you know, like I said, like some people just don't know, some do, because there's always new people coming in, and everything's always changing on social media. You know, there's so much information, so many things that we miss out on a lot. Like today, I haven't been on Instagram maybe for the last couple hours, and I know there's thousands of things that have popped up already. And for me to go in there and catch up and look up, you know, what I miss, it's gonna be kind of hard. It's almost like I can't go backwards. I gotta keep moving forward, right? Kind of refresh it and see what else pops up, and just keep moving forward. Even when we go to sleep, you know, I'm sure everybody in Europe and Asia is just boom, 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 posting. And we're missing out on all that. And then when we wake up, you know, we're starting to see some of the stuff, you know, and then those guys are asleep. And then when they wake up, they're seeing what we're posting. So it's a lot of information. It's just a lot of stuff that is coming out, which is very cool. So with this magazine, you know, if you didn't know about it and you want to know, on Instagram, I did post a video, and I didn't realize it was like 17 minutes long. I was like, damn, that's a long video. You know, sometimes I try to tell myself, all right, let's do a 5-minute video, 10-minute video. And I don't know. I think I just keep talking, and next thing you know, it's like a pretty long video. So I basically flipped through the pages. I did some spoiler alerts, pretty much just showing you the magazine itself. And I mean, there's just so much cool stuff to see there. But if you don't know how the magazine looks like or anything, you could go on the Scale Writers Instagram or 65 Looks Instagram, and there's going to be the video right there from it. But you guys killed it, man. Great job right there. You know, you guys did something very awesome with this book. And man, don't feel bad if like you feel that pressure of like, oh man, we got to put out another one already. Now that 6 is up, all right, let's try to put 7 out right away. Like, nah, give it time. 6 just came out. Let people catch up with 6. And then, you know, we have ModelFest coming up. Boom, get some coverage there. We got SoCal Open coming up in May. Get some coverage there. NNL just passed. I'm sure you guys got coverage of that already locked in. And any other shows, small shows, get-togethers, everything. It'd be pretty dope to get all that stuff all together. So Volume 6 is out. If you pre-ordered it and you still haven't got your issue, trust me, you're going to get it soon. Just be patient, because I know it's tough when you're waiting on something that hasn't arrived and you want to hit them up, then you don't. But then when you do hit them up, there could probably be 10 other people hitting them up. And it could become a little stressful. But just be patient, and that magazine will definitely show up at your door right there. So, all right, let's see. Next thing I want to get into is my build update. Man, it's right here, right in front of me. It's already been clear coded. The video's up on YouTube. It's also on Instagram, on our TikTok, and I believe on X as well. I uploaded it on X right there. We got a lot of homies that are from Japan that are on X. Some of them are on Instagram too, but some of them, they only do X. They don't care about YouTube or Instagram. They only stick to one platform, and that's it. So it's a little underground in a way for them. But I'm always finding different scale modelers on there that are just posting builds and stuff like that. So this one right here, I clear coded it before the Valentine's, holiday, and man, I'm happy with the results of it. I layered clear on it, house of color, show clear, and I try to shoot as much clear as I could on it, but at the same time not overdoing it where I didn't want to have anything dripping from the sides. And it's already been a week, I guess, a week and a half since when I did this. And inspecting it under the light, I do see little high areas, little areas where when I rub my finger, it's smooth like glass, but then it gets a little rough. And I just know that when I wet sand this thing, it's going to just cut through that and it's going to level everything out. Then it's going to be going back to smooth. But it's definitely going to take away some of this shine, this gloss that it has right now. So, and it's not too high. I mean, you could just feel it. But this is, I want to say, from the metallic flake that's in the Orion Silver. It's really small, very, very, very small. So I just got to cut through that, and then I'm just going to pretty much buff it out. So I could either re-clear it, sand the whole body and then re-clear it one final time and it's done, or I can just cut all that roughness off and then just polish the whole car and leave it as is, and it'll be smooth and I'll bring back the shine to the car. So those are two routes that I can head. So with this build, the clear coating process, I was looking at the comments that I was getting, and one of the comments that stood out to me was somebody was asking what kind of compressor I use, because they mentioned that the compressor that they have, it it runs out of air, they're airbrushing, but then there's just no more pressure, there's no air in it, right? So the compressor that I use is made by Iwata. It's the PowerJet Pro model. The model that I specifically have was discontinued. They no longer make that model. I do have the paperwork for it and also the receipt for it from when I bought it. And man, this one here, I mean, I bought it some years back, The other day I pulled out the stuff. I put it away, the paperwork, but I'm planning on doing a video on it. I'm planning on pulling it out, because I have it in the bottom on the floor. It's a little dusty, so I need to get in there, clean it up, and plan on doing a video on it. And there I'll explain more details of it. And I believe it was 2015 or 2016 when I purchased it. So that one there, I remember at that time, I might have spent close to $400 on this compressor. And it's pretty big. I mean, it's not like a tiny compressor. It does have a tank, an air tank. So with the compressor and the air tank, it's protected. It has like a shield, like a metal shield around it, housing it. You know, and everything is just, it's really nice, and like there's a lot of chrome pieces in there, you know. And what I really like about it is the tank, because when you turn this thing on, it's like automatic, right? It's on, it's filling up the tank, and once the tank gets filled, it turns off. So I'm able to, you know, set my settings at like 18 psi, and I start to spray, and I could, you know, if I'm shooting clear, I pull that whole trigger back, you know. I push down and I pull back, and I'm just letting it all flow out, all that clear. And I'm not thinking about like, let me take a break because, you know, I'm running out of air from the tank and it needs to refill. I just keep going. When you're watching the video, you are going to hear the compressor turn on and then turn off. And I don't hesitate. You won't see me stopping or whatever. I just keep it going. And I'm glad that when I got this compressor back in the day and I started using it, I never had those kind of hiccups to mentally be like worried, you know, like, oh dang, it's going to stop or whatever, you know. I just go right through it. The same when I'm painting, you know, if I'm laying down a base, I'm not worried about airflow or whatnot. I already found like my comfort right there with what I'm using. At the same time, I pretty much use everything Iwata. So Iwata compressor, Iwata hose, Iwata quick disconnects, and the Iwata airbrush. So there was a time where I was using Grex quick disconnects and the little tiny disconnects that go on the airbrush, right? So there was one that's on the airbrush and one that's connected to the hose. And at that time, I was unaware that Iwata had their own. I guess I just wasn't searching as much. I just knew that Grex had their own. And, you know, the only person that I knew that was using that kind of a setup with the Grex disconnect was Freddie from H-Town Model Shop. So I had reached out to him back in the day and was like, yo, what's your opinion on this? Is this pretty dope? Should I get it? Do you recommend it? And he was like, man, it works great for me. I mean, I've been using this for a long time and everything, and it even has a little lever and all this stuff. So I ended up buying it, right? And yeah, it worked out. Everything was cool. I started buying all the even more little quick disconnects because I started acquiring so many airbrushes. So I was like, man, every airbrush has to have one of those underneath so I could just swap out whenever I need to, right? But then when I started to see the Iwata ones, I was like, okay, let me start buying those too. So I started buying those, and then I get like the full kit with the disconnect. And then I finally compare. I flip them upside down, and I look inside the little hole where the air is going through, and I noticed that the Iwata hole was bigger compared to the Grex. And I was like, oh, what the heck? It's even bigger. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like, this one is smaller. It's almost like it has a thicker wall. And the Iwata one, it has a thick but not too thick, the same. It's like a little bit thinner. So I was like, man, what the heck? I need to get these. The reason why you want to go with the Iwata ones is because of the airflow. You want to get as much airflow out of the compressor, because think about it, the air is coming out of the compressor through the hose, and also the length of the hose. Like if you have like a 10-foot hose, that's gonna be fine. You know, you don't want to get a hose that's too long either, because then it's gonna take a long time for air to reach that point where you might not get good enough pressure, you know, out. So a shorter hose I would recommend, and at the same time, you know, having that wider, it's gonna give you, you know, consistent, better air. And you might be thinking, well, man, what if you run out? You won't. If you have a tank, you won't. You'll be fine, because it's an airbrush. It's not a spray gun. If you were using a spray gun, you know, like LPH 80, if you change a fitting and you fit one of those, man, you're gonna run out of air quick, just because, you know, it's a touch-up gun. It's gonna shoot out more air, and compared to an airbrush. And I just wouldn't recommend it. You know, I feel like the LPH 80, that's just going now into you're stepping into the other genre of painting right there, as far as tools, you know. So with that setup, I want to do a video. I want to explain what I have, and then I'm also going to want to explain like what I would recommend. You know, there is another, it's like a studio series power jet that is made by Iwata and is available currently. I feel like they discontinued the line, like the one that I was using, and they moved forward into these newer models. So the one that I would recommend, it has, you could connect 2 hoses to that compressor, so you could even have 2 airbrushes going on. That right there is very convenient, just because like if you have 2 airbrushes connected, one on each, and let's just say that in one of them, you know, you want to touch up little small areas or do some fine detailing and stuff, you can do so. And then on the secondary, you know, airbrush, you might have an HPTH with the fan tip, where you can pretty much just shoot like a bigger fan pattern and get more coverage, you know. And you can have different colors on each airbrush. So there's just so many conveniences that you can do right there with that one, you know. And there's some people that I know that use them, so I know for sure that's a really good airbrush. I would not recommend buying an airbrush that doesn't have a tank at all, because if it's just a pure compressor with no air tank, then the minute you plug that thing in and you turn it on, that thing is just running. It's just running. It's like a little engine. It's just running to produce air for you to just shoot out. And at some point, it's going to get a little weak. Like it's not going to come out as strong, you know, because it's just running. And then at some point, it's going to heat up. And then, you know, it's just going to stop. It's going to give out one day, right? And what you want is you want to get one of these newer Iwata ones where it turns on, it fills up the tank, and then it turns off. It's like, I don't know if it's called Smart Jet, the technology. It's smart something. That's a technology that they have on it. It basically has a cutoff, like a shut-off switch or whatever, automatically once the tank reaches its capacity. So that one there, and then they're small, they're portable, they're small little compressors that you can carry them around. The one I have is pretty big and it's heavy. I feel like that was probably one of the reasons why they shut it down, like discontinuing it, was because I think they might have been seeing like, all right, lugging this big thing that almost is like the size of a briefcase around, it's not going to work out for a lot of people, you know. So we need to make something a little more compact that packs a punch. It's pretty similar, and you know, it has a tank, but you could go any different places, because you know there's artists out there that travel, they go to events, conventions, and they need their gear. They need to bring their own stuff. So I know for sure a lot of things went into making this one. So with the build, I mean, airbrushed it. It's done. Happy with it. I just need to do these final touch-ups of it. Then I could backmask it and start to fill in some areas. And then the rest, I'm going to be using the Hasegawa mirror chrome finish. That thing right there. I'm going to end up putting a lot of it. So it's going to like just make it pop and stand out, you know. As far as the interior, I just got to get my rattle cans, some Tamiya, most likely some aircraft paint is going to be going onto the interior, and get this up and going, installing the glass, installing the wheels and everything, and then this model should be done, you know. It's been a fun one right there. I already have plans of building other models after this one. Once I finish this one, there's some other cars that I'm going to be building. I know for sure I'm going to be doing a Corvair, and there's just some others that are in the pipeline. I do got to revisit some projects and close those up, just to keep, you know, moving forward with other builds. I mean, there's a lot of new stuff that's dropped in 2025 that I'm excited about, and there's still more that's going to be coming forward. So the website skillriders.com, there are some updates that I did to it. I added the wish list for those that browse the site and, you know, kind of want to create a little account where they could just list all these things in their wish list. So this way, when they're ready to come over and like make some purchases, they could just go to the wish list, and makes it a lot easier for the shopping experience. You know, add to cart and check out. There's also notify me. So, you know, there's going to be items in the site that are out of stock. You know, you could always sign up for email, and whenever that items comes back, you can pretty much, you know, have that notification hit you back, and if that's something you've been looking for, you could boom, order right there, right? So there's that also. And as far as arrivals, I mean, we've been getting new arrivals. I think it's been weekly now, you know. There are some items that I just ordered tonight or earlier before I even recorded this, I am recording this before I logged into this. I put in an order, and that stuff should probably be arriving, you know, next week and so forth once they ship it out this week. So I'm excited about that stuff to come in. And I mean, it's just been a lot of different detail parts and kits and stuff like that. Fujimi's been coming out with a lot of new kits, and then also some you know, repops of stuff. So I've been getting some of that stuff in too. And then the tools. There's some tools that we haven't had for a long time, and now we managed to get them back. So that's been cool to see them, you know, and you know, I just appreciate everybody who has been like going, you know, on there buying stuff. And you know, I just try to do my best to like package everything nice and neat and get it out to you guys right there. But you know, as far as the list of new arrivals, all you got to do is go to the website skillriders.com and then just click on the new arrivals, and you'll be able to see all the stuff. There's also like a pre-orders list for certain things. So there's a lot of neat things that are coming down the pipeline right there. And I'm just continuing just to order more stuff that comes in. And you know, I'm just trying to spread word and let people know, you know, that like the orders, every order that comes in is very appreciated, and it also helps grow the business, and it helps for me to be able to purchase, you know, more product and extend the range of products that we bring into the store as well. So thank you guys for that. And man, I think that's it for this episode. So just remember, this Sunday is the ModelFest 2025. It's going down. Hope to see you guys there, but if not, it's all good. You know, you could always help out by sharing the information. Maybe one of your homies is in California, that's been wanting to go to a model event and they're unaware of it, they could always hit this one up right here. So this one's definitely coming up. And yeah, I hope you guys are good. Keep on building. Catch you guys on Instagram and everywhere else on social media. Have a good one and take care. All right. Peace out. Later.